Thiago Motta gained attention for introducing his innovative 2-7-2 formation to the world, which initially puzzled football fans unfamiliar with his unconventional setup, especially seeing the centre-backs joining the attacks. But no worries. Today we are looking at Thiago Motta's system, how he will implement that at Juve, and the free-flowing attacking football in Football Manager using the Thiago Motta tactic. We may have signed a player or two, or 3 or 4 or 5. But without the further hold up, let's get stuck into things. Explaining the 2-7-2 formation because it does sound a little bit wild. In the formation, 2 players are stationed in the wide regions while 7 players are positioned centrally, resulting in a 2-7-2 structure when viewed from the touchline. Thiago Motta has shown he wants his team to play free attacking flowing football, regardless of the opposition. One influential principle in doing this is to be fluid within the system and to find different interchanges and rotations. Their most frequent rotation is a counter movement with a winger and an attacking midfielder. When the fullback gets the ball, the winger runs wide towards the fullback, dragging the opposition fullback with him. This opens space behind that defensive fullback, which allows the ball to be played into the open space for a running midfielder. This movement also drags away the opposition midfielder from the centre, allowing the striker to drop into the open space. The fullback will play the ball into the dropping striker, who can then turn and attack the defence. Motta implements a dynamic positional shift instead of keeping a static defensive line during possession. He wants his centre-backs and holding midfielders to rotate and change positions to confuse the opposition. A holding midfielder will often drop, dragging away an opposition midfielder, which opens space in the middle. A centre-back will run into the open space and receive the ball, allowing him to turn and progress the ball up the pitch. While it demands a lot of technical and tactical skills from the players, this fluidity has created new dynamics for Bologna's attacking style, offering new solutions and ways of beating the opposition's press. The centre-back advances opens up a new passing lane, catching the opposing press off guard. Thiago Motta, as established, likes it when his team plays through the opposition when possible. One vital tool they often use is the third man principle. A third man run happens when the team in possession attracts an opponent towards the ball. 2 players exchange passes before a third makes an off the ball run into space to receive. The third man runs are therefore crucial to finding a player in a better position who cannot be found with a direct pass. Another massive aspect of Bologna's high build-up is their ability to create numerical advantages against the opposition's defensive line. Their front 5 naturally becomes numerically superior against the back 4, which they are great at taking advantage of. Switches of play is also one way to break down teams under Thiago Motta. When the defending team is positioned on one side, the weak side fullback becomes vulnerable to the long switch of play due to the 1 versus 2 against Bologna's winger and attacking midfielder. Thiago Motta's team often capitalise on this by getting the ball into the winger and creating many opportunities from 2 versus 1 situations on the wing and in the half spaces. Lastly, in possession, Thiago Motta likes to create central overloads when attacking the opposition. Many opponents therefore defend with 4-man midfielders to neutralise Bologna's box midfield. Motta's answer to this is often drop with the striker. When the striker drops, they again become numerically superior in the midfield, allowing the team to build the opposition's defence. If the centre-back pushes up onto the striker, Bologna will then exploit the space left behind. Out of possession, with Thiago Motta positioning many players centrally in possession, creating a numerical advantage in midfield, this creates good conditions in defensive transitions. Many players close to the ball after losing possession means that players can work together to regain possession. Motta's team therefore often regains possession directly after losing it. Thiago Motta's team always looks to be aggressive without the ball. This shows in their high pressure. Motta usually wants his team to go man-to-man and intensely press the opposition. In the low press, Motta's Bologna use a 4-5-1 formation. So in Football Manager, we are looking to use a 4-3-3 mainly so we can get this 4-5-1 formation out of possession. And that wraps up the brief Thiago Motta analysis. I have done a more in-depth one. The link to that video will be in the description. Also, shout out the football analyst with this Thiago Motta analysis as well. But now we are going to look at the signings that I made using in real life data and Y Scout. Juve in real life have already made signings this summer. They've brought in Douglas Luiz, Kefren Turan, which actually is crazy to me. It blows my mind because this tactic took longer than it should. I was getting frustrated that it weren't working, but doing my little mini Juve rebuild, I was looking for a central midfielder, and look who is on my shortlist. Now, Turan was supposed to be the Cooper Miners replacement. If they can't get Cooper Miners, they can get Kefren. It seems like they're trying to get both though, so a central midfielder is still on the agenda. And another player that Juve are very close to signing is Michel Di Gregorio. Another name. He was on my goalkeeper shortlist for Chelsea. When we were scouting a goalkeeper for Chelsea, he was on the shortlist. The European market is tough, of course. Not being tied with Juve, it's difficult to understand what is needed for them and what they are looking at. So I did use this website called juvefc.com, basically just getting all of Juve's transfer rumours. Looking at the Juve squad, I mean, there was only Dusan Vlahovic as the striker, so we are also looking for a deep lying forward profile similar to Joshua Zirkzee. Likes to drop deep, he can control the ball and play in those tight spaces. Good balance while in possession as well, so he can fend off defenders. And with Thiago Motta, of course, defending in a high press, we are looking for some defensive output as well, but a Dusan Vlahovic backup. So we can start with a deep lying forward. We've got a few names on here. João Pedro I think will be too expensive. The same with Matheus Cunha. Zirkzee seems like he's going to Manchester United with that 40 million price tag. Matteo Reticui seems like it makes the most, I can't even pronounce his name, seems like it makes the most sense, but the player that I did go with, Fotis Ioannidis. He plays for Panathinaikos. Some of you may not agree that he is the caliber of player that Juve should go for, but he is a very, very good player. I'll be surprised if he doesn't get a summer move. He has to get a summer move. But you can see here with the player traits, he likes ball played into feet and he likes to run with the ball often. He seems like the perfect false nine deep line forward on Football Manager. He's only 24 as well, so this seems like a very decent backup. He's actually scored 8 goals in 14 starts for us at Juve. Next, we are looking for that Ricardo Calafiori profile. I mean, the profile is unique, so I don't think we're going to get exactly what Calafiori can bring you, but we are looking for someone with that sort of similar IQ, but also good in possession. They can move into midfield and they can also play left back, not just centre back, but they can also play left back. Just sorted it out by market value. We can see David Hanko as well at Feyenoord, but the player that I did go with, and it's cheaper than Calafiori, we brought in Artetia. Again, looking at the player traits, he's got gets into the opposition area, perfect for that libero. Runs with the ball often, perfect for that libero. Brings the ball out from the defense, perfect for that libero. So Artetia, transfer market in real life, I believe valuing him around, is it 20-30 million? Again, 24 years young. Juve can always go with Bremer and Gatti until Artetia, it's time for him to come into that starting lineup, but he is the player that I brought in. He's got a 7.08 average rating over the season. The winger was the most difficult one because we was looking for some quality, but also someone that was very, very cheap. I did find someone who is now in Serie B. He's also injured, but he was linked with Juve, and I feel this now is the perfect time for the move to happen. Domenico Berardi, I mean, it just makes sense. It makes sense. This is someone as well, out of possession. He has some value. He works really hard. He's very also intelligent with his pressing as well. Sassuolo, they get relegated, so he is available cheaper than usual, but he's also currently injured as well. Again, that might knock the price down. Not much introduction is needed. A very fantastic player, Domenico Berardi. Italian as well. Our only Italian signing. Lastly, we are now looking for a midfielder. Not Cooper Miners, because again, that is boring just to put him in Juve, given that he's heavily linked. So our job, our duty is to find a similar profile, but someone who is actually cheaper. Sudakov is a fantastic player. He's shown at the Euros, but he didn't get no goals, no assists. One reason why I don't think anyone has even written his name down. I'm talking football fans. Scouts will know who he is, but I don't think football fans are really rating him because he wasn't one of those players scoring long shots or getting assists, but he is a very good attacking midfielder. Though I feel he might be a bit too expensive, 35 million market value. So we are looking for that Cooper Miners profile, and someone that I did go with, 6'1" Luka Sucic, a very decent physical profile as well. One thing I don't like on Football Manager, his aggression's on 4. Now, when we all watch him, we can all tell you that his aggression should be a lot higher than 4. Luka Sucic is the player that I went with central midfield. Bear in mind, he's not planned to start for me at Juve. Lastly, because I almost forgot, we did slightly raid Red Bull Salzburg. We also brought in Amar Dedic because looking at the Juve squad, there was no right backs. We've only got Danilo. Cambiasso can play right back, but then that leaves the left back spot a bit empty. So I went with Amar Dedic. Not that he's going to be very cheap, but yeah, he shouldn't be as expensive. But that wraps up the signings. I told you there was about 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 new signings. And now we are going to break down that Football Manager tactic. Hold up, wait a minute, let me put some admin in it. Make sure you like this video. It does help this channel out massively, and it's so easy. It's just a button, just press like. But also, if you do want to support the channel as well and what I'm doing, please make sure you check out the Patreon, where you can support the channel from as little as £3 and you get some bonus content as well as early access to some videos. But now it's time to go to Football Manager. I do have a couple notes that I've written down here. I didn't want to use a winger role in Football Manager as Bologna crossed the ball the least in Serie A. A winger role have crossed more often, so in Football Manager it's exactly what they want to do. No matter if you cut inside, and I have tried it over the past 4 days many times using a winger role, very frustrating. And I put this on Twitter that I was getting frustrated. I couldn't get this tactic to work in the way that I wanted. One reason, using that winger role, they just cross. And when we're using a dropping striker, sometimes it's just crossing to no one, or it just doesn't create good scoring opportunities. You could say, actually, we replicated the Bologna side, not creating that great of an XG. I also have some screenshots as well, which should back up why I chose some instructions. So for crosses, we can see here that Bologna have the least crosses in the league. Progressive runs, Bologna do like to progress the ball forward with the ball at players' feet. Defensive duels, Bologna are quite high in their defensive duels, which is sort of unusual for a team that tends to be in possession a lot, but it does also show Bologna's aggressiveness out of possession. Challenge intensity as well, which is measuring the duels, tackles, interceptions per minute of the opponent possession. Bologna are second, showing how aggressive they actually are. So that is the reason why I'm using get stuck in. PPDA, Bologna have the third most intense press in the Serie A. I just wanted to highlight those, so when it comes to instructions and people saying why are you using a high press, you can now understand why, because Bologna also use a high press. For the player roles, I am going to show you the player instructions after. So in goal, we are using the goalkeeper, just the standard goalkeeper, using a super goalkeeper. I don't know what it is, but it felt like my goalkeeper was just allergic to the ball and coming out and claiming things. It was just so weird. Fullback on support for both fullbacks, we have left that on. The central defenders, the left hand side, we are using a libero on support, but they are 2 tactics. And then the right side, the centre back, is the ball playing defender. That means to get that rotation between the centre back and the defensive midfielder, it means that we can only use now a halfback in DM, but also because we aren't using an inverted fullback. Risky, but it works. In midfield, I'm looking for someone that can connect play, that can be the link between defense and midfield. So I'm just using a standard central midfielder on support, and then his partner. Now I need someone that can get further forward, break lines, but also create those rotations out wide. Let the winger drop and then let the spoiler alert, Mazzala. And then let the Mazzala run wide and try and exploit that space. Wingers, inverted winger on the right hand side, inside forward on attack on the left hand side. I did try to use wingers, it just didn't feel right, it just didn't work right or as intended. And then lastly, up top, we are using a deep line forward on attack. Team instructions, we are going to look at the player instructions, but I actually do feel it makes more sense looking at the team instructions, then you can understand why I chose certain player instructions as well. Mentality, attacking width unfairly wide for the approach player. We are playing out from the back, and passing directness shorter with slightly higher tempo. I didn't want to show you it now, but you can see with the average possession we are second, so using attacking mentality plus the higher or slightly higher tempo doesn't mean that we lose our possession. In the final third, work the ball into the box, run at the defense and be more expressive. Run at the defense, try to get those progressive runs. In transition, when we lose the ball, we are going to counter press. We haven't got any instruction when the possession has been won, but when the goalkeeper's in possession, distribute the ball quickly and look for the centre backs, please. Lastly, out of possession, a high press, much higher defensive line, much more trigger press, prevent the short goalkeeper distribution and step up more. Funnily enough, using those out of possession instructions like much more trigger press didn't make our team the most intense team in the league. We certainly didn't complete the most high intensity sprints. You can also see with our intensity bar here as well, it's a nice color. Now if I wrap this up, you can see it's getting higher and it's starting to change color slightly as well. Now using counter, that is very intense. You can also use get stuck in more on that. Okay, yeah, okay, we're doing too much. For the player instructions, and I also did say there's two versions, so this is what I use majority of the time, the version without the halfback, because that could ruin you away from home, but also it ruined our chance creation. Don't ask me why or how. Another thing I was very frustrated with creating this tactic, our chance creation just seemed to drop when using libero, so we do have two for tactics here. So now looking at those player instructions, the centre backs don't have any, but the full backs will be looking to cut inside, hold their position so they're not up and down so much, because Bologna's full backs don't actually do that. Stay wider and tackle harder. Both full backs are the same. The DM has no instructions. The CM will be looking to take more risks, dribble more, get further forward and tackle harder. The Mazzala, similar, take more risks, dribble more, tackle harder. The left side of the attack, tackle harder, mark specific position. Now this is absolutely needed to get our wingers to drop back. A lot of the time, another thing I was frustrated with is when we lose the ball, sometimes our wingers just stand there, just up top, just not willing to track back. And in Serie A, many teams do use wing backs. So when you're obviously against a wing back, you would change this from defensive right to wing back right. And the same will go for the right winger. He's marking the left back. Make sure you change this to wing back left when you are up against a back five. And lastly, up top, the deep line forward, roaming from position and tackling harder. Of course, with the libero version, it's just going to have the exact same player instructions, but with these two players there are no instructions anyway. And now compared to my Bologna 272, yeah, it's very different. It's very different, though we do have to bear in mind, I believe this tactic was made on the very first patch, so this game's been patched 2 or 3 times since, maybe just twice. But that wraps up the tactic. We can now look at the results that we got using this tactic. We didn't have many crazy high scoring games. Of course, the tactic is looking to control games rather than play in transition and have counter-attack there and counter-attack here. But this was one game where we actually won 9-0. And you can see with our centre-back here scoring a double, so that is likely to be from set pieces. Sure enough, the first goal is actually from a set piece, from a corner. The second goal we are playing out from the back. Let's just look at our back line here. You can see Douglas Luiz dropping in there as well. So that's our half-back, and there you can see our centre-back is in midfield now. But Hesule knocks it on for Vlahovic and he just lobs the goalkeeper expertly. Here they are trying to play out from the back. We're going to press them. Well done, Danilo. Hesule to Chiesa. And now he's happy. He's staying and he's scoring. We did score a free kick on the edge of the box. Dusan Vlahovic. No, we didn't. No, we didn't. No, we didn't. We did score a penalty. Dusan Vlahovic burying the penalty. There's a deep free kick. Sule whips it in looking for Thuram and Danilo. I mean, that is very bad defending. We've got, how many players there? Just 3 waiting to tap that in. Here we got Chiesa running down the wing, looking for Locatelli to pass the ball in. Dejalo, Thuram. Lovely goal. Now we're at 8-0, I believe. Here's Sule taking the defender on the outside, brings it in. Moretti, Yildiz. What a talent Yildiz is as well. And then, yeah, we scored. The last goal came from a corner. Ninth goal. Yeah, 9th goal, 9-0. In Serie A, we managed to win 31 out of the 38 games, drawing 6. That's a lot of games, but you can see away, we might have to find a different solution for the away games. And we also lost to Napoli 1-0 away. We got knocked out in the semi-final to Real Madrid. I mean, no embarrassment, but it was very tight. Just the 1 goal difference. And in the Coppa Italia, fairly disappointing getting knocked out in the quarter-final by Milan. Statistically, we scored the most goals, most shots for, fewest shots against, most possession possession, we came in second, 59%. I'm rounding that up and calling it 60. Most dribbles made. Now, this is the thing that, again, I didn't really like because I wanted progressive runs. I didn't want 1v1 dribbles from everyone. So maybe I possibly could have used dribble less on certain players. Most clean sheets though, 22 clean sheets with the fewest conceded. The most expected goals or the highest expected goals. Possession 1 per game, we top that list, so Preston is doing very good. Most final third passes and most chances created, so a very solid tactic. Lastly, before we wrap up the video, we can look at the player stats. Chiesa scoring 11, Thuram getting 12 goals, 12 assists. Our centre back, the second top goal scorer, Dusan Vlahovic with 20 goals. The assist as well, Matthias Sule on 20, Kefren Thuram on 12. Lastly, before we leave, you must be wondering what set piece routine am I using, and I'll be honest, what the game gives me. So when this pops up, make sure you use player marking, then go to no post, defend the box, near post, defend transition, in swinger. They will create that for you, and then voila, your set pieces are all done. Looking at the attack now, we should be attacking the near post, and A1 should be Bremer. There we are. So that wraps up today's video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Shout out my Patreons. I'll see you guys soon. Stay safe. God bless and peace out.